In this video, I'm going to show you how to connect Voiceflow to GoHighLevel to get your leads straight from your web chat assistant into your CRM with all the automations running in the background. Here are the steps we're going to use. First one, the Voiceflow setup. I'm going to dive into Voiceflow, how to actually set it up so that you can easily get information over to GoHighLevel. Then we're going to create a post request, which is going to connect Voiceflow to Make. Then I'm going to show you how to actually set up Make, which is the automation system similar to Zapier. After that, we're going to connect Make to GoHighLevel. And then we're going to basically put a nice little ribbon on it and connect everything together. And we'll test it. Let's get into it. All right. And we're now in Voiceflow. Now I'm starting here because this is where we're actually going to be gathering all of our data. So I have an example project here which is just a super simple, what's your name? What's the best number to reach you? What's the best email for you? And then where's a property or project you all discuss? So we work with a lot of contractors. This is the usual setup that we have. All we're doing, we're capturing every single piece of information that we want to a specific variable. So if I were to recreate this, all I would have to do is go to the little left hand side where it says text, grab that and say whatever piece of information you're trying to get from the user. For example, if I want the user's zip code, what is your zip code? That's the question. Now I need somewhere where to actually hold that information onto. All I have to do is go and click on the listen icon and then press on capture. And I'm simply going to throw the entire user reply, just to keep things simple. You can use create new entity, which is basically going to separate or tell Voiceflow to only extract part of the information you want. So for example, if a user were to reply, my zip code is 10,000, then now what we're going to do is that the entire zip code is going to be saved under that, or the entire variable. The variable is going to save the entire reply, which is what we want in our case. Otherwise, you could just do create a new entity and then name it, for example, zip code. And then you would go down here and you could choose for different types like phone numbers, percentages, ordinals, URLs, key phrases, etc. Or in our case, it would be in geography. But to keep things simple, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this as we don't really need it right now. And I'm going to save this entire user reply. This is the more important part. The entire user reply, I'm going to save it to a variable. This one's going to be called zip code. And if you don't already have that, just create it right here. And there you go. Now, if I press on start, I just connect these nodes. I now have a card that asks me, what is my zip code? It's going to capture my answer to a variable called zip code. That's basically all we've done here for this entire section. So I'll just copy and paste this for name. What's the best phone number to reach you? Phone. What's the best email for you? Capture the entire reply to email. Where's the address? Capture the entire reply to a variable called address. Now, once we have all four of those, and once we have all the pieces of information that we want, then we can go ahead and actually create a post request. Now, post requests are actually pretty simple. All we're doing is we want a way to connect Voiceflow with Make, which is going to be kind of our highway between Voiceflow and GoHighLevel. So what we're doing is we're creating a little API call, and you're going to use this a lot with Voiceflow. I click back on Designer, and then to create this node, all I have to press on is on the left-hand side where it says Dev. There's going to be one that says API. Press a new card, and then let me put down there's different types of API requests, or HTTP requests they're called. Get, as the name suggests, we're taking information from a database, and then post is we're putting information through to a database. Since we're sending information over, we're using post. Now, the URL here that's requiring, we're going to get that from Make. But before we say where this information is going to, let's figure out what information are we sending. So keeping in mind this zip code thing here, let's say I want to send just zip code. All I have to do for Make, it makes it super easy. I just go in body and I say, okay, well, the way this works is there's key value pairs. So you have a key and then you have the value of the said key. The key in this case would be zip code. And I'm going to keep the writing consistent. So there'll be no uppercase here just to avoid any mistakes. And then the value is simply going to be open bracket zip code or the variable that we input for it. That's pretty much it. All I have to do is connect this right here. Now I have what I'm going to be sending over. And obviously, as you see here, since we have a bunch of different variables, if I want to send each of them, all I have to do is press this little plus icon on the right-hand side and then enter the key value pair. So in this case, it would be name. And then I would open bracket, name. Open bracket just signifies to Voiceflow that this is going to be a variable. And then below that, I had phone, open bracket. You can go on and on until you have all the variables you want to send over. The post request, I need an address where to send all this information to. That's where we get into Make. Now, if you're familiar with Make, you might be familiar with this counterpart, which is called Zapier. What this allows you to do is basically connect different applications together without having to get deep into the coding aspect of it. So we're using Make. Basically, we can connect different modules together. In this case, I'm going to jump in if you don't already have an account, create one, You can get started for free. I think afterwards it goes like between 10 and 20 bucks a month. Once you have your account, we're going to jump into a new scenario. So if I jump in here, this is all we need to do for this. The first part of this is going to be a webhook. What we're sending over on Voiceflow, which is this thing right here, is also called a webhook. So to be clear, when Voiceflow is sending information over, we need somewhere to catch it. That's what this is. This is a trigger. So we're telling Make to trigger this automation whenever it receives this piece of information. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to start from a blank canvas, and then we're going to set up a new trigger, which in this case is going to be a webhook. Now, after you just type in webhook, it should pop up here. You can go ahead and press on that. When it says custom mailhook, custom webhook, click on the custom webhook part, and now we have a webhook. Now you can name this whatever you like. I'm going to name it something like GoHighLevel example. And now we have our webhook. When it says it's still spinning thing and it says stop, it means it's waiting for information to try to figure out what type of data is coming through. So all you have to do is copy the address to the clipboard, jump back into Voiceflow, and then in the post URL here, copy and paste that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to send I'm going to delete the phone and name because it's not relevant right now, and I'm going to send this request. Now, if you send this correctly, you should receive a 200 code back. Now, as you can see here, we have code 200, which means it was sent successfully and Make has confirmed that. So if I jump back into Make, you can see here it's been successfully determined. And that's pretty much all you need to connect Voiceflow to Make. Now, to actually connect Make to GoHighLevel, we're going to have to switch gears a little bit and jump into high level in order to get a certain amount of keys that we need in order to connect both of those applications. So if I jump into Make for a second, when I press on new module, you should see something, and you can actually search up high level. It's going to say something like lead connector, I think it's called. And then once you see lead connector, you can actually search for different types of actions that you can do from Make. For this case, I'm simply going to use create an opportunity because we're assuming that we're getting a new lead from your AI or from your chatbot, right? So if I press on create an opportunity, now it's going to ask me if I already have a connection here, but if you don't have one, it's going to ask you for an API key. How do you find that? We're going to have to jump into high level in order to actually get it. Now, the great part about Make is how easy it is to actually connect it. So if you literally just press on the little add square here, assuming that I already have mine, but if you don't have one, it's going to tell you two different things, the connection name and then the API key. And if you're unsure where you get it, it says it right here. Click on that. Otherwise, I can just show you here as well. So now from your GoHighLevel dashboard in your sub account, or if you're a contractor doing this for yourself, this would be your main account. Once you go on the left-hand side where it says settings, and then you scroll down a little bit, I might have to blur some of this out, and then you scroll down, you're going to see something called an API key. As it says here, use this for Zapier and API integration. All you have to do is just copy this, go back into Make, and just paste that key here. Once you have that, you'll have officially connected your Make to HighLevel. Now from here, it's actually pretty simple compared to everything we did before. It should be pretty straightforward. As you can see here, you have the pipeline ID, which is just where our thing is going to go. Now, if you're wondering what all of this is or where this is getting all this information from, it's actually from this template of GoHighLevel that I have. And if I go back and I go in opportunities, you'll see this is what it's all going from, right? Lead gen, post service, project execution, etc. So now I want all of my leads from my chatbot to come into new lead, for example. So all I have to do is just set the pipeline ID as lead gen. And then it's going to go ahead and grab all the different stages that I can have. And then I can just put it as new lead. I can put the title here. Now, here's one little caveat. Where it says zip code, that's because that's the only information coming from the webhook, right? However, to make this a bit more useful and to actually use this to its proper utility, if I go back into Voiceflow and let me disconnect the zip code node, and I'll show you how easy it is to change it, or I can even add it. What if I also want to get the name, the best number, best email, and the address? Now, all I have to do is just connect these like this. Now I have zip code, name, and then I have phone, email, address. So as shown before, I'm going to go in the name key, put in name, and then I have phone. After that, we had email, and lastly, I had address. Now, for me to redetermine or for Make to re-figure out what's being sent, I simply have to click on the webhook again, and then there's a little thing that says redetermine data structure. Click on that first, and then go back into Voiceflow and then send that information over. Now we're just going to have to send all of this through. If I get code 200, it means it went through. This should be successfully determined. Now, if I click back on my module, you'll see the title is now, I have to send more information through. So if I run it again, that we have got all the information we wanted. So now if I click on high level, if I go Python ID and then stage ID, then title, we now have the brand new, I just have to rerun the scenario. But now we have all of the information that I sent through from Voiceflow. So the title, let's put a name, and then dash address, for example. The status, it can be open. Select the method, create a new contact. The contact email is going to be our customer's email. The contact phone is going to be the phone. Contact name. And then depending on what you're using this for, whether you're a contractor or an agency doing this for your clients, you can then go ahead and give as many basically fields and variables as you need. But I think this is good for now. The source, you can leave the rest of this open. And then let's just add another tag, which is called lead. And once I press save and I'm going to press on, if I just go back into this and I do a resend, I click here. I should do run once actually, but this apparently runs successfully. So now if I go to my high level account, I now have a brand new lead in my high level. As you saw, it was name dash 123 Main Street, the phone number we gave, the email we gave. And that's pretty much how you connect Voiceflow to high level. We're using Make just to make it easier, and also have a lot more experience in Make. But you can do this through high level directly with something called a premium webhook. If you want a video on that, let me know. Otherwise, the template to get access to the automations for new leads and this whole basically snapshot, you can click on the descriptions, like a 14-day free trial to high level as well. Otherwise, thank you for watching. And if I miss anything, like I said, write in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.